So there was a young lady earlier before I got in the door that was talking about how she would prefer to see people's regular, mundane, boring lives as opposed to somebody that's super wealthy with all of these luxury items that they're flashing in her face, because that's not relatable to her. She wants to see real people. And I have probably one of the most realistic things I could really talk about. Give me 1 second, because you're going to need to brace yourself for this. So it's been about, I would say maybe 20 years since I've stepped foot into Marshall's. And I went in there because I was in the old neighborhood. I hadn't been over there in a long time. This is sort of a place where I used to go a lot when I was a teenager. I lived in the area. I grew up over there. And there used to be a specialty store for girls where my dad would buy all of my dresses when I was a little girl, like when they could still dress me, because there's no way in hell I would have ever worn a dress once I started dressing myself. But when I was in the Marshalls, I realized that I had been looking for bath towels, and a specific type of bath towel. Like every other place that I had been to, I could not find the towels that I wanted. And when I got up to the cash register, the woman who was the cashier ran behind me and she was like, "Go to number 2. So I was like, wow, she just kind of appeared out of nowhere, but it was cool, you know? And so she rings me up and the total comes up to 1987. And so I go, ooh, 1987, that was a good year. And she's like, wait, what did you say? I'm like, 1987, that was good. She's like, I was just thinking that, and like, that's something that I always say. And I've been saying this for years, since I was 19. So it was really nice to see that relativity, because what it really boils down to, and this is a word, I don't have my Bible on me right now. It's up there, and I'm not gonna, maybe I can pause the video, because I'm gonna show you something. I'm gonna pause the video for a second. But this goes into what I had been talking to God about yesterday. Sundays are typically the day that I spend early in the morning, like unraveling, getting up, just like soaking in everything. And then I dedicate that to the Lord. And on Saturday is the Sabbath day. That's the way I grew up. I usually sing, and then I find a chapter within the Bible that I will go and read through, and then I will like praise the Lord through music. So this is relative to what I was talking to God about yesterday, because it's been about 3 months and I can't go back to my old ways. I've been sober from alcohol, and I was pretty much in that whole LGBT sort of vibe where like everybody, that's like where we get together. That's like our safe haven. Like a lot of our community is found in the bars here. Of course, there are LGBT individuals who have other ways of sort of having community, but for me that was my way. But it became very unhealthy for me, because alcohol is a poison and my body was not able to digest it. So it wasn't just that, but it was also the types of connections that I was making in the community. A lot of the people that I was around, they were really holding me back. They thought I thought way too big. They thought that I was better than them, which conversely, you know what that means. And I was just trying to exist, and I was trying to better my life, and I have been bettering my life. And a lot of the things when I hit rock bottom that they didn't think that I would be able to do has already come to pass. Like, you guys don't even want to know. I don't know why this thing keeps dimming out. But I'm going to pause the video really quickly. I'm going to go get that thing that I was telling you guys about that happened, I think it was Tuesday. I want to say Tuesday morning of last week. So this is a 7-day completion. Give me one. All right, I'm back. So it's funny, like the jazz radio station that I listened to, 88.1, they were just talking about Christians, and I am a believer. So I found it. So when I was on my work, I am technically on my work, because what I'm doing, no matter how big or small, is what God has called me to do. But when I was on my way to work, I saw that it was 5:33 in the morning, and Corinthians popped out to me, and it was 1 Corinthians 5:33. And this goes along with what I was thinking about and why I can't go back to where I was, because it would literally kill the dream, the ultimate purpose for my life. and I'm being divinely led. So it's not like I have much of a choice. Like, I've literally lost a taste for a lot of these things, a lot of these places. So even if I wanted to go back spiritually, my soul can't go. There's like an invisible barrier that just will not allow me to walk in that direction. So I looked up 1 Corinthians 15:33, and it said, did I say 5:33 earlier? Look, do not judge me. So 1 Corinthians 15:33 reads, do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. In order for me to elevate, I had to really think about my associations. No matter how many years I've known these people, how much I love them, they weren't really the best of company for me. Anybody that will willingly lead you to do unhealthy things and speak death into your beliefs, you as a person, the things that you value and you enjoy, the things that bring joy to you, sweetheart, they're not your friends. And for years, I did not want to hurt these people's feelings, so I stuck around, even though they were beating the hell out of my feelings, because they needed somebody to, trauma dump on, but it never went both ways. It became so draining, and I became so drained that it literally took me these 3 months to just sit in silence, because I was just so exhausted, and all the things that I wanted to do, I couldn't do. And it was funny because I had closed out a cycle, because I had met, it's interesting, like you get like a counterfeit. So I had met this person about a year ago, and at first everything seemed like it was good, but there are time limitations on demonic forces where the mask has to drop. They can't continue on with the act because it's not who they are. But what's really interesting about a lot of demonic people that have demons within them is they assume that you're also on borrowed time, that you're also portraying an act, that you're not who you say you are. And so I noticed in this last cycle, before I decided, I didn't decide, I actually got delivered from the spirit, the demon of alcoholism, which is an actual spiritual entity, on July 5th, after America's Independence Day. My independence was received. It was like something, actually I did see it as it was released from me, and the entity ran throughout my apartment, but it was dark. And so I was delivered from that. And probably about, I'd say 2 weeks after that, this person contacted me wanting to go and have drinks and whatever substances that they wanted. Like, I'm not really a big substance person, but I love beer. So I didn't see the message right away. 4 hours later, I responded. Everything worked out perfectly the way it was going to. That was a test. So I've been in a season of isolation these last 3 months, and it's just so crazy because although it's nice to have community, I do not want to be surrounded by anything that is not in alignment, that is not in the flow of where I'm going, that is going to add weight, like spiritual and psychological and physical weight. So this October actually is the month of harvest. So whatever you've been reaping, and we just literally just celebrated the New Year, the Jewish New Year. It's 5786, if I'm not mistaken. But this is ultimately, like, the harvest was the reset. But it's also where there's the most spiritual activity. And those of us that are keen into the spiritual reality of things, because even though I am in the physical world, I've never really acclimated to the physical world as much as I should. There should be more of a balance. I live more in the spiritual world. And so I've been having a lot more of these dreams and things like that have given me answers about what the next steps are and what I should and should not share. But 1987 reduces down to 25. That is a number of connection. Maybe I'll go further into that, but get ready for the harvest. at Marshall's.